Good afternoon, everybody. This is Saagar Shaikh coming here to visit us.
Thank you. Give it up for our main. What's up, guys? How's it going?
So I guess let's just get started. Everybody wants to know your big star. How did you go from graduating UTSA in 2011 and then, coming back to it how many years later and visiting the now new film program?
Yeah, this is crazy because when I was here, I remember looking for, come on, dude. Okay. I remember when I was here and I was, doing my undergrad in business. And I was just like, this can't be my life, man. I cannot do business school for another day, let alone my whole life. So I started thinking about what I enjoyed doing throughout my life, elementary school, middle school, and high school. And it was theater arts. It was the one that kept jumping in my face. And then I would look at UTSA to see if they have any programs, acting programs, film programs, whatever, and it just didn't exist at UTSA. And I don't know if any other schools in San Antonio offered anything like that. The nearest school was Austin, and I'm not going to get into UT, What's so funny? And yeah, so coming here 13 and a half years later, seeing that this program exists, I think that's huge. What a huge step in the right direction for UTSA. I mean, look at all the people that are here today. This is big enough of a turnout to offer a program that for people that are interested in the industry, in media or in film, or I don't even know if UTSA offers any writing programs, but I think it should, creative writing, San Antonio has a lot of talent, but it often gets watered down by the city not supporting the talent that it has in it, It raises talent and then kind of leaves them.
How do you think the city could handle that better? In your experience, since you've been in different cities, New York, Chicago, LA?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just think in terms of support, it could be a little more encouraging. I don't know if I think I've gone to once in my life, a theater show in San Antonio. I don't even know if it exists anymore or if they do Broadway-esque type shows in downtown. But I think people should, improv theaters should pop up in San Antonio. I think sketch theaters should pop up in San Antonio, and we should go and we should take these classes and support them. And they're not only good for the industry and creative types in San Antonio or people that are interested in learning about comedy, but they're good for the city. There's lightheartedness that comes with, you don't even have to pursue the industry. You could just be interested in it. And it teaches you people skills, you're able to have conversations. You take a class for 6 months and you're able to have a conversation with somebody that you would have never been able to have 6 months ago. Just the idea of yes-anding, having a conversation with someone, agreeing with what they're saying, and adding more information to that conversation, having that back and forth is such a huge deal in a conversation. And a lot of us, let's face it, we suck at having conversations nowadays. We're so stuck to our phones, that everybody has this social anxiety now. Take an improv class, do theater arts. It's so good for your soul and the city. Write that down, Kiko.
It's a good one.
Yeah. So on that note of Texas filmmaking and supporting local talent, recently we can bring up that the Texas Senate just passed the bill for providing millions of dollars towards filmmaking in Texas. Do you foresee not just Austin, but more parts? Like we already have Dallas is becoming a booming industry for media. Do you think San Antonio could also grow in that sense?
100%. San Antonio is the tourist capital of Texas. You know, we have a Six Flags, we have a SeaWorld, we have we have the Riverwalk, and I know these places are all like trash. We are all aware of that, but they should be better. They should be better, and they could be better, and we're the home of the Spurs, man. You know, and we're the 7th largest city in the U.S., but we operate like we're not in the top 20, right? If Houston has such a booming scene, and I know it's starting in Houston too, like people are way more interested in Houston. Everybody leaves Houston or San Antonio or Dallas and they go to LA or New York to pursue this industry, right? We should, and Austin might be the answer just because it's so central to, you know, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, and it's already got like an infrastructure over there. They've got casting directors over there. They, you know, when I lived here, I used to go to Austin for auditions all the time, regularly. But if Albuquerque, New Mexico can have such a big hub, why can't San Antonio? We are such a bigger city than Albuquerque. We have the talent, we have the passion. We just don't have like the support, and passion can only last so long until you feel like it's not wanted where you are. So you leave and you pursue it somewhere else.
Do you think potentially, in the same sense that Toronto has a big star, at, like Drake, putting Toronto on the map?
Who's that?
Do you think San Antonio potentially having its own local star, like we have Pedro Pascal, he's from San Antonio, and yet we still don't have this scene where we're not recognized? Do you think San Antonio putting out more stars would get us more attention?
Yes and no, right? I think because Texas has historically been such a red state, red states are not known for producing art or artists, right? People that leave, and especially a city like San Antonio, that is such a big city, but it operates like a small city. People come out of Houston all the time, and they rep Houston, you know, till they die. But Houston also has like the insane diversity factor that it has. San Antonio, on the other hand, it's rough out here because we don't invest in ourselves as artists. So we leave and we do it somewhere else. And by the time they become who they have become, the star, by the time Pedro Pascal became Pedro Pascal, he had been living in New York for 20 years. You know, so like if he's 45 and he's lived in New York for 20 years, is he still from San Antonio? San Antonio didn't feed him the way New York fed him. It didn't give him what New York gave him. How can anybody, and I'm sure he's got San Antonio pride, but at the end of the day, like the scale is different. San Antonio would not be like, oh, that's our Pedro Pascal, let's lift him up, until after he became Pedro Pascal the star. And now San Antonio is gonna say like, oh yeah, he's from San Antonio. But for 20 years, they're like, Pedro who? You know?
Yeah. In the same, for you, since, you know, born and raised San Antonio, and then moving to LA, how does that fall for you?
I was born in Houston.
You were born in Houston?
Yeah.
Oh,
I moved here when I was 14, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So coming to San Antonio at that age, and then what age did you leave San Antonio? Fully decided to go?
I was 25 when I left. I moved to LA from here at 25.
And how was that move? It's a lot of people in this room. Show of hands, how many are filmmakers or talent, actors, something? There's
Almost everybody.
A lot of people. There's a lot of fear that goes into making that big jump, especially when we're talking about San Antonio. you know, we are a big city, like you just said, and yet we operate like a small city. So much fear goes into making that big jump. Do we have the money for it? Do the confidence or even the talent? You know, there's a lot of what ifs and fears. So for you, what propelled you to do it?
Obsession, you know. I can't say there have been many things in my life that I have been like obsessively passionate about. And it truly is like a bug that, like, if it bites you, it like that infection never goes away. And you can try to force it gone by focusing on something else, but it's forever going to eat at you in the back of your brain. It's going to eat at your brain like a virus, and it's always going to call you back. Or if you never decide to go back to it, you'll never stop thinking about it. And then you grow up one day, you've been working at a job for 15 years, you're going to live the rest of your life with regret. And I didn't want to do that, you know. I've said this before, I would rather have moved to LA, pursued this thing, had a roommate forever, never bought a house, never have a nice car. I would rather do that while I'm pursuing this than live here, have a job that pays me $60,000, $70,000 an hour, you know, a year, be able to buy a house. I'd rather live in discomfort pursuing my passion than live in comfort not having done that.
On the note of your journey, let's walk through that a little bit more. Like, we talk about that, you know, going from Houston, all your experience. Have you only really worked on the acting side of filmmaking, or have you touched more location or post-production, pre-production?
I worked in post-production for like 5 years. Yeah, so when I moved to San Antonio, to LA, the first thing I did was I needed to make money, right? Because I had to pay rent. So I became a TaskRabbitor, and I would stand in line for people at the Apple store waiting for the next iPhone for like $20 an hour. You know, which over here I understand is a lot an hour, but over there it's like nothing, right? I did that for a year, building shelves for people in their garage, and then I was like, dude, I'm getting like hurt, right? Like, I'm physically, my body is in pain from building things for people, and I haven't done anything. I've been here for a year now, right? So I'm like, I got to get a regular job. So I got a job at Nordstrom. I worked there for 2 years, and then before I knew it, 2 years had gone by. I'd been in LA for 3 years, and I hadn't done shit. I hadn't done anything. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a manager. 3 years had gone by. I could have been doing exactly what I was doing over there, over here. I could have lived at my parents' house, done the same jobs, and you know, I would have been in the same position. So then I left Nordstrom, and I made a rule for myself in 2015 that I wasn't going to make any money doing any jobs outside of the industry. So that really, really limited what I could do for work. So I was lucky that I got a job like maybe 2 months after I left Nordstrom, and I was an assistant for a voiceover producer. She was crazy. That was an insane job. And I did that for like 5 months, making $10 an hour. And I put her business like 4 months ahead of schedule. And I had a meeting with her. I sent her an email. And I was like, hey, Kate, we need to have a meeting tomorrow. The meeting is going to be about getting me a pay raise, right? And because I did all this research, I was like, okay, assistance for a person of this caliber makes $20 an hour at least. And so I was like, you got to give me something, Kate, right? $15 an hour at least. And she was like, Saagar, you're doing a great job, but I can't pay you more than a penny that I'm paying you right now. And I was like, Kate, today's my last day. I'm leaving. And she's like, okay, well, can you at least come back tomorrow to train the next person? I said, no. You train the next person. And so I left, and I didn't have a job for another 3 weeks. But I was really lucky. Again, I found a job. I started thinking like, okay, I should become a production assistant, right? And I wanted to become a writer's PA because I wanted to head in a more creative direction, right? And but writer's PAs, that job is the hardest PA job to get in the industry. There's like only one writer's PA per show, and it's usually like this producer's son or daughter that gets that job. It's nepotism, right? But I ended up getting a post-production job, which I was so afraid of happening because I hear that people that get jobs in post-production get stuck in the world of post, and that is exactly what happened to me. That is exactly what happened to me. For the next 5 years, I kept getting post-production jobs, and they were great jobs. I learned a lot, but it's just not where my heart was, which is why I got fired from my last post-production job. They told me, they're like, I was there for 2 years. They're like, man, you're just not passionate about the job. You come in, you're doing the job, but you're doing the bare minimum just to survive, and then that's it. They're like, so we're letting you know right now, Saagar. And I had become a post-production coordinator, a post-production supervisor. They were like, Saagar, we're letting you know right now that we're looking for your replacement. We don't know if that's going to take 2 weeks or 2 months, but we like you, so we're not going to fire you, but we're going to give you a nice severance package. We're going to give you insurance for a couple months so that you can figure your stuff out, but we are looking for your replacement, and we're going to need you to train them. And I was like, you know what? I like you guys too. For you, I'll do it. But Kate? Hell no, Kate. So then, yeah, that was the last job I had, and that I got fired from that in 2019. And then in 2019, a few months later, I applied for this showcase that's called the Disney Discover Showcase. And I did that in 2017, 2018, and 2019. But I didn't get it the first 2 years, probably because I was working and auditioning, and like this audition process is so grueling. Like you're there 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, auditioning for different characters, you know, like, and you have different scene partners for each character, and you're literally there 8 hours a day, non-stop, reading, rehearsing, auditioning, reading, rehearsing, auditioning. And so for the first 2 years, I made it to the final 40 out of 2,000 auditions. And in the third year, 2019, I didn't have a job, and I was like, let me just audition for this thing again, right? And this time I got it. Only 16 people actually get the showcase. And so I got that showcase. Through that, I got representation. You know, I was with an agent at the time. I'm not with them anymore, but I got an agent and I got a manager, and I started going on real auditions. I don't remember the question that you asked. I just started rambling. But yeah.
You're all right. But is it just me, or is anybody else wondering what happened with this Kate?
With what?
With this Kate, I'm just a little curious.
Oh, wait, this what?
Kate, is that the name?
Kate. Oh,
Yeah.
Kate. I don't know, dude. Dead for all I care. I hated her. She was so mean. She paid me $10 an hour. She would make me go get her lunch and coffee, not give me any money to buy myself lunch and coffee, and then I would go back and she'd be like, "Can you give me my receipt and my change?" Every day, and then.
So it sounds like she gave you some fuel to want to get out of there.
Oh my God, so much fuel. I hope she's not dead, by the way. I was just joking.
And so the Disney Showcase, is that what led you down to Miss Marvel?
Yeah, ultimately, I mean, it didn't like directly get me there, but it did indirectly get me there by getting me representation, you know? And I wouldn't have gotten the audition if I didn't have representation. So while they're both Disney, you know, there's a Disney Showcase. Marvel, you know, is owned by Disney. Deli Boys is also Onyx Collective and 20th, which are both owned by Disney. Airs on Hulu, which is also owned by Disney. But but it wasn't a direct pipeline, right? If I didn't do the showcase, I wouldn't have been with Buckwald, who was the agency I was with at the time. And if I didn't get with Buckwald, I wouldn't have gotten the breakdown for the audition, because they're not going to just look for people that look like who the character can be. They send the breakdown to agencies. Agencies look at their roster to see if they have talent that matches the description of the character, and then they submit that talent to Marvel, to the casting director. The casting director would say, okay, I want to see this talent, this talent, this talent. Here are the audition sides. Let's have them send us a tape to see what they do with the the pages that we're sending. So it wasn't direct, but it helped a lot because I got that visibility from agents and managers and casting directors, which helped me get that audition.
So it sounds like you've had a lot of tribulations and bumps along the road. What, through all of those mistakes or hardships, was some of the most valuable lessons you learned that you could potentially share with everybody here?
I think the thing that I learned most is that you don't really fail until you quit. And when you quit, that's when you're, like really retiring it. You don't know what tomorrow holds. You don't know what next year holds. You don't know what 5 years from now holds, right? We just don't know. But if you put your eggs in one basket and you really, really, really go for it, you don't let the world, you don't let your parents, you don't let your extended family, you don't let your friends, you don't let your competition, whoever it is, tell you when it's time to hang up your coat. Only you can tell yourself when to hang up your coat. And that's when you quit, and that's when you fail. If you really want that thing, don't stop, because you never know where it's gonna take you.
Well said.
Thanks. Straight from the dome.
Real quick, do we have any questions right now from the audience? Hand right, first one that went up back there.
Feet.
Hey.
Hey.
My name is Jocelyn. I was thinking, we have a lot of advice that we get from creatives. Probably the most prominent advice we get constantly is just to create. I wanted to ask about the next step after you've already created something that's not terrible. What is the next step of trying to find ways to be seen? On our level here in San Antonio, how do you be the cream that rises to the top? How do you get noticed when you're?
So I believe, and I'm guilty of not doing this as well, but I believe in doing your work and showing your work, right? Do a project. Don't worry about perfect, right? Because if you worry about perfect, you're never going to be happy with your product. And you want to finish a thing so that you can start the next thing, right? Do your work, show it. Show your work. Put it on, nowadays we live in a different world than we did when I was y'all's age, right? We didn't have TikTok. YouTube was new back then. And now things are so easily just accessible. You can post things on TikTok and on YouTube now, and you hope it goes viral. But if it doesn't, that's okay. You've shown your work. Don't worry about the virality of anything. Don't worry about the next thing. Just worry about the experience that you've gained and what you've learned making that thing. Show your work. The rest of it is out of your control, right? On to the next. Every time you finish something, on to the next. Don't look back at it. Don't reminisce about the good time that you had making that thing. Focus on the future. Focus on the next thing. Because you worry about that. Also, you never know, man. Sometimes you make something 5 years ago and it goes viral today. And then people notice it today. and you're just like, dude, I did that so long ago. I'm so mentally past that now. You can't control what hits and what doesn't. All you can control is the work that you're doing in the moment. Put it out there, on to the next. Oh, yeah, you do it. But we'll take everybody's, I think. I don't know. I'm not in charge here. Yeah.
Speaking of experience, you're active all the class. What workshop?
So when I was in San Antonio, there was an acting class that doesn't exist anymore out here. But I also went to Austin every once in a while, and I would sign up for an acting class over there. I would take it. Leslie, what's her name? Leslie? No, that's in LA. Tony Cobb Brock. She's a casting director in Austin. I took classes with her. There's a guy that's in Shreveport, Louisiana. He comes out to Austin every once in a while. His name is Ryan Glorioso. He's also a casting director. Casting director workshops are really important. There's a Comedy Sports in San Antonio. I used to do shows with them. Now there's like a couple of other improv theaters in San Antonio that have come up, people that I know. My old roommate from LA, who is back in San Antonio now, he runs an improv theater in San Antonio. House Party, yeah, House Party Improv. They're great. When I moved to LA, I signed up for a UCB class, Upright Citizens Brigade, improv, before I even moved there. It was kind of like the marker for me was like, okay, Saagar, you have no money and you just spent $400 on an 8-week class. Now you have to move to LA. So like I moved to LA like a week before my class started, and I took that class for 8 weeks, and then as soon as I was able to save up for the next one, I really firmly believe in staying in class and just soaking up everything, not just from your teacher, but also from your other, scene partners in your class. You learn so much just by observing.
Do you want to pick the next one?
Yeah. Actually, I want to pick you. I like your Miss Marvel jacket.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I know you had a very bad experience being a writer's PA, but would you ever be interested into writing or directing a project, or are you just going to stick to your acting?
No, I actually wanted to be a writer's PA, but I never got a job because nepotism. It's a dream of mine to write and direct. And if everything goes the way I want it to go, I'll, write and direct like a short film of my own within the next year and a half or something. And I want to, hopefully Deli Boys gets a season 2 and a season 3, because I think if I play my cards right, I'll be able to direct an episode in season 3. Yeah, thank you.
So 2 questions.
Yeah.
One, what is your preferred acting technique? And 2, do you have any like pre or post filming warm-ups, rituals, wind downs?
I don't really heavily prescribe to technique in acting. Like I understand them, and but I think project to project it changes. I prefer a loose like Meisner, where you're able to kind of improvise a little bit, bring a little of yourself to the character. I don't think that what do they call it? You know how like people stay in character to like method acting? I don't really believe you need to do that, unless it is something like Heath Ledger and the Joker, right? I get that. The Joker is such an insane human being that you need to, in order to like get there, you can't just like step into that role and then like go home for dinner, and like wake up the next day and go back. You have to be such an insane human being to be able to play a role like the Joker, and you have to if you get that job, you have to force insanity. And so I get that. R.I.P. to our boy Heath. Yeah. What was the second question?
See, that's like warm up, like fighting rituals.
Post filming, no. Pre filming, I just do a lot of weird shit. Like even on the way here, it's not even just filming, right? It's like before I'm sitting in front of a bunch of strangers, or even before an audition or whatever, I just I'll be sitting there and I'll just go for like 20 minutes. And it's just like to loosen up, because speaking is really hard, and this is not easy. This is a lot of work for me even. I try to make it look as easy as I can, but I've just been doing this so often over the last 6 or 7 weeks that I'm kind of, it's getting really numb inside, and it's just so much easier to just like do the motions and answer these questions. But yeah, man, it's just, that's it. I just do that thing with my lips. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I did the research for this interview.
Oh no.
Found some tweets of yours.
Oh no. What's happening?
Got 3 tweets here. I need some clarification on November 5th, 2020. I've been thinking a lot about Alaska lately. At Canada, please take it away from us. We don't need it. So, does your hatred of Alaska stem from childhood?
No. It was Sarah Palin.
Nice. And I believe this is your first one ever on February 17th, 2017. FYI, when you ask your Muslim parent for something and they say inshallah, they mean fuck no. Like, explain inshallah and mashallah, because people keep mixing them up.
Yeah. So inshallah means God willing, and growing up, you always ask your mom, like, can we go to the mall? Can I spend the night at this person's house or whatever next week? And then, or your dad, can he take me here or whatever? And they're always like, yeah, inshallah. And then the thing never happens, and it's just kind of a placeholder for like, let's say inshallah, and maybe they'll forget about it. But they don't want to say no, because that's like, no, them's fighting words, man. Because then they say no, and you're going to be like, oh, come on, please, you never. Blah, blah. So, I learned that inshallah is just a fuck no. Yeah.
Beautiful. On April 5th.
And the difference between inshallah and mashallah, inshallah means God willing, and mashallah just means like glory to God.
Oh, I can't use it like mashallah, like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. When you see a guy sees a hot girl and he's like, yo, mashallah. He's like,
April 5th, 2020. Man, fuck, I missed traffic. I'm just really confused on what the fuck that means.
COVID.
Oh.
Yeah. I live in LA, one of the highest traffic cities. We got the 405 highway, the busiest busiest highway in America. And, April 5th was like peak, right? It was empty. And it was so sad. Because while it was nice, I could get anywhere in 45 minutes faster than I would be able to get there before, but the streets are so empty, and it was so sad that I missed traffic, and that was the first and last time I ever thought that.
Do you think that's like Stockholm syndrome, or?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Thanks, man.
That'll be the last one for now, because you just mentioned Deli Boys. It's your most recent show, right?
Yeah.
Deli Boys in the room.
What?
Cool. Okay, we got some fun. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, pretty funny show, dark comedy. So, did you have any part in any of the writing or any part of that?
No, I didn't. We did a lot of improvising, throughout the series, which is like, on the fly writing your own jokes while the camera's rolling, and sometimes, the director and the producers if it really, really worked, they would love it, and they used a lot of it, right? But sometimes if it's like not quite hitting the mark, they just come up to us and be like, "Hey, stick to the script," you know, and I'll be like, "Damn it, it hurts. It hurts when you don't do it right." And they're like, "Hey, just ease up a little bit. Let's stick to the script." You're just like, sorry.
I'll get you another one.
No, I get it.
So, on the Deli Boys tour you just recently did, how are you feeling after that?
I feel great, man. It's like been such a good time. I told you earlier, we've been to New York, New Haven, Connecticut, Chicago, Austin, where we met, San Francisco, so much in LA, and it's just been surreal, so surreal to see the people's reactions to the show. But even when we met in Austin, the show hadn't even come out yet, right? We met on a Saturday night because we did a Deli Boys pop-up at South by, and
I got my cigar dollar here.
oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
It's been in his pocket for 6 weeks. Yeah, he was. There was. Who is it?
So it's us right here.
Oh
It
yeah.
was our team right here at South by Southwest doing some media coverage for the Paisano, the UTSA newspaper.
Yeah.
And we just finished, what was the last movie? Was it The Accountant?
Yeah, it was The Accountant.
The Accountant 2. We just got out of The Accountant 2 world premiere. The Deli Boys truck was setting up, right?
Yeah. And I used to do this bit where anytime I saw someone with a nice camera, I would just tell them to take a picture of me with it. I never wanted to see the picture. I was just like, yeah, take a picture of me. And they do. And then, so I kind of like, with me and Asif, we kind of did that. And then I started asking them questions, like, where are you guys from? And they're like, oh yeah, I was talking to him, yeah. And he was like, oh yeah, we go to UTSA. We're doing, taking photos and doing a piece for the Paisano. And I was like, oh, no way. I went to UTSA. I graduated from UTSA. And, you know, I talked to these guys for a little while. It was like an hour, I think, right?
Yeah.
It was so cold, and he was wearing a t-shirt, and his nose was like running, and it was red, but he was just so like excited to like talk to us. You guys, all of you guys were, and yeah, I told him after he told me that, you know, he's graduating this year. I was like, dude, take my email and talk to your professors. If they want, I'll come down to UTSA, and we're here now. Yeah.
Moral of that story, always say hi.
Yeah. Take that picture. If somebody's like, take a picture of me, just take it.
And then I wanted to ask you some questions about your identity and how do you feel being a part of like Miss Marvel and having your own show, Deli Boys, and having Pakistani representation?
I mean, you know, never in my wildest dreams could I imagine being in the position that I'm in. When I, you know, moved to LA for the first 5, 6, 7 years even, I just used to like pray. I'd be like, please, Allah, just like help me get work. I just want to make like $40,000, $50,000 a year doing what I love. And that truly is like doing 5, 6 commercials a year. That means like working 5 or 6 days a year. It's so hard for people that look like us to get work consistently that is all I was capable of dreaming of. And you know, when I got the Miss Marvel job, that already was beyond my wildest expectations. I was trained and ready to do a job that big, but I never thought I'd actually get a job that big, right? so Miss Marvel was one thing, and then I did the movie right after that, The Marvels, which was like in IMAX, and I was like, holy shit, man, Saagar, what is happening? This is crazy, man. I have a scene with Samuel L. Jackson. Holy shit. What? He DMs me every once in a while. He DMs me Samuel L. Jackson memes. It's hilarious. He watched Deli Boys, and he DM'd me after that. And I thought, like, he's just being nice. And I was like, did you actually watch it? And he said, I don't remember what he said, but he was like, he called me what he calls people, if you guys know what I mean. I won't say it. I've already said it once before. I got 3 nieces sitting back there, But yeah, and then going on to Deli Boys after that, man, truly, I could die next week, and I feel like I've done more work than I could have imagined the world would let me do. I'm fulfilled. I'm satisfied. I'm so loose about things now because, like, I did my best work. I mean, hopefully, I do better work in the future, but this is beyond my wildest imagination of what I could expect from it.
I think we're coming close on time, so I do want to open the floor up to more questions.
Yeah, I'll be faster in talking. I'll try to take them all. Yeah. Let's get you in the back first, and then I'll go for you. Yeah. Yeah. Hi.
I'm Paige. I wanted to talk first about maybe some influences you had as a child, like stepping into your career, and then what are your influences now, and how does it affect like how you go to work and what you produce and what you put out into the world?
Well, as a child, we didn't even have like cable television, right? Like, I didn't have cable until I was like 14 or 15, so I wasn't like really well versed in the world of cinema or TV. But I did watch Bollywood movies, and I love my man Shah Rukh Khan, dude. Yeah, so I watched a lot of Bollywood movies, and while their style of acting is different than over here, I was really inspired by how someone who I could identify with in terms of skin color, in terms of language, is able to be so free in the world, and like, like, we're so afraid of looking stupid and how we're perceived by an audience, that it's just, we're not used to being okay with being embarrassed. So that's something that I really had to learn how to do. And watching Bollywood films helped me get there mentally. And then today, honestly, it's like my peers now. I'm really influenced by my peers, and the people that I've been like meeting over the past year and becoming friends with are all people that I, still look up to, but once upon a time, like, really, really looked up to. And now I'm able to, like, I'm in meetings with them. I can text them and ask them questions, and it's just a really, really cool position to be in. If I'm confused about something, or if I need guidance, I can just send a voice note to somebody who 2 years ago I didn't have access to, and they can help me, decipher my thoughts and kind of guide me to find an answer that I'm looking for. Thank you. Yeah. Let me get him first. Yeah.
So first of all, I would like to thank you for just existing and
Oh
doing
man.
what you do.
Stop. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm really sorry, guys, but I think you should know that there is a kid like who had a bad day, and he just comes back home and watches Opens Prime and just watch it.
It's you, huh?
So
It's you? Thank you.
Delhi, I thought that this belongs to that new Delhi guy, but it's Delhi Pickle.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's for me it was very relatable. I felt like, okay, there is some guy who might look like me. Like, it's just my way of thinking that it
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if he can do it, then I can do it.
You
So
can.
thank you.
Yeah, no,
For
thank you,
inspiring
man.
me,
Thanks for
and
saying that.
thank you for just listening to me. And what would you? I would like to ask, what would you do if you have to like start over? Like you are 24 in grad school, and you have to like start over all this in 2025. How would be your approach? What?
This is actually a really good question because I've thought about this, and at my age now, I'm 38 now, okay? At my age now in 2025, if if I just was bit by the bug today, I don't think I have it in me to hustle and grind the way that I did when I was 24. I started acting when I was 23. I moved to LA when I was 25. I It was such a stupid thing to do that was really good for me. At 38, I could not do it. You know, I would be too comfortable having worked the job that I've probably been working for the last decade or something. And once you reach a certain level of comfort in your life, it is hard to go back because now you have a mortgage or a car payment or this. You have responsibilities, right? When I was 23, when I started acting, I didn't have those responsibilities. When I was 25, I didn't have those responsibilities. I never got a job after I graduated, right? Like with my degree, I never got a job. Because I didn't want to be comfortable because I was afraid of comfort taking, the front seat to my passion. And that comfort to me is such a dangerous thing if you're not doing the thing that you want to do and you're comfortable. To me, they're just like such antithesis of each other. I couldn't do it today, but if I was 25, if I was young, dumb, broke, and hungry, I would absolutely do it all over again. I would do it all over again. I'd move to LA. Rent is crazy expensive over there now, but I'd get a bunch of roommates. We lived in a 3-bedroom apartment with 5 people. I would do it again. When I lived in San Antonio, my rent was $500 a month, and then when I moved to LA, we had a 3-bedroom apartment, and it was okay. In San Antonio, I had a 3-bedroom apartment. It was $1,400 a month for the 3 of us. Then I moved to LA, and it was $2,750 for a 3-bedroom, and so it's like twice the price, right? I would do it again if I was your age, not at my age. Good man. Yeah. Who did I say I get next? Yeah, you.
I know as an actor, it's important to develop a relationship with your director and your co-stars. I was wondering if you found it important to develop one with the crew as well, like whether it be like your DP or your camera crew.
100%. 100%. Deli Boys especially. On Miss Marvel, I wasn't at the top of the call sheet, so I couldn't really set the tone on Miss Marvel. But on Deli Boys, I'm up there, and I can set the tone of what just what the environment feels like on set. And so me, Asif, both, we made it a point to learn everybody's name and something about them. We talk to them every day, the sound people, like if I don't know the sound person's name and I'm talking to them twice a day, once when they're micing me up and once when they're taking the mic off of me, if I don't know their name, like what kind of person am I, right? We used to do karaoke nights, and we would just invite the whole cast and crew, all the crew, right? And any given karaoke night we would host, 60 people would show up. That's an insane amount. But like we all karaoke'd together. We learned their hidden talents, like who was a good singer and who was ass. But like but yeah, it felt like a good, solid family type of situation. Yeah. Who else? Yeah. What's up?
Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
Yeah, I was told
Here at UTSA, and I just want to say, after watching Miss Marvel like a couple years back with my mom, like we cried, we enjoyed it so much. And we're Ghanaian American, but even though we couldn't relate to the culture of the show, it was so amazing to see that type of representation in culture in America on like Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And after that, I wanted to ask, how is it like working with the Law and Nina DaCosta?
Yeah, I'll answer the second one first because it's the easier answer. They're the best, man. I love those guys. They just felt like there was like this instant kinship between all of us. And man, that whole casting crew, those directors, that whole team was amazing to work with. I love them so much. Now the first question is pretty loaded, right? Because we don't live in a very welcoming world right now, especially for like marginalized communities. What I would say is I think right now we need to be investing in ourselves and in other marginalized communities, right? I think I can speak for like my own specific community, right? Just like this South Asian community, like we are almost comically full of doctors, lawyers, and engineers, all right? And we're also terrible at investing back in our communities. We love spending money on our families, on you know, nice cars and other garbage like that. But like, I think what truly is important is that our rich family or rich friends invest money into the arts, into the film industry, because we're not getting greenlit. You know, a show like Deli Boys is so rare, and it shouldn't be. It's such an easy, fun, lighthearted show that you never see brown people helming, right? You always see, I mean, I could list off 10 white-led comedies that are not as good as Deli Boys, but they'll go for 4 seasons. We're praying to get a season 2, right? And that is because we aren't in those seats that make those decisions. So we need more people that look like you and I, taking that bold risk, joining the industry at every level, right? Whether that is working as a gaffer, working as a DP, working as a studio exec. We need people in marginalized communities working at every level in the industry so that we can be lit properly, so that we can get shows made that wouldn't otherwise get made. We need directors that are, you know, from marginalized communities. We need actors. We need writers so that we can be written for properly. You know, we're just so thin in every department in the industry that it doesn't help anybody. And if we're gonna help ourselves, it would be by almost like self-sacrifice, right? Joining the industry because you're interested in it, not knowing whether you will be, whether your career will take off or not. But just there are power in numbers, and it's really scary. It really is scary, because it's a cutthroat industry. It really is scary. But you just got to be bold and believe in yourself, and we have to invest in our communities if we want to see more shows or projects like Deli Boys or Sinners or, you know, Miss Marvel or Black Panther, because we're good. We are good, and we are out there. There's just not enough of us. I said, thank you. Good question. Cool. Are we good? Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe on the video. If you want any more videos on the equipment in the equipment room, just comment below. Birds up.